we find that the things that we thought were going to give us this, fulfillment, they ended up leaving us wanting, leaving us empty. And that's why we're always trying to replace it. It's said that there's a God-shaped vacuum. See, there's a God-shaped vacuum in your heart. And you can spend your life trying to fill it with this and with that and with that. I'll get another thing. And, it can even be religion. Religion is not God. Religion can replace God too. You can think, well, if I go to enough services, if I do this, or if I give to charity, or if I say my prayers, that may be fine, but that's not the same thing. Even that can't replace God, a heart-to-heart relationship. Even religion and tradition, that's not it. And the Bible doesn't say that's the way. It's God in your heart. There's a God-shaped vacuum without it. We seek success. When I get this, when you get there, you say, well, there's got to be more. Or if people love me enough, but then, even if they accept you, you say there's got to be more. Or if I can marry this person, that'll be it. All my emptiness will be fulfilled. And you marry and you find out, no, it's not quite. They might be a beautiful person, but still there's something. Or no, I'll have a child and that'll do. Well, there's still something there. Or I'll fill my life with pleasures and or food or entertainments or material things or drinking or promiscuity, sexual pleasures or drugs or addictions. But it always ends up empty in the end. There's something more. And, we're like lost children looking for something, and often it takes losing some of these things. It's like the prodigal son or the rug pulled out or something to see how empty it is. But in the end, we find every person disappoints. Every joy in the world grows old. Everything that glitters fades away. Everything passes. Everything fails us. Nothing can live up to that expectation because you're seeking for something more that the world cannot give. You're seeking for something that has to do with heaven. It is to come into your life now, but it's beyond what this world can give you. Even we fail ourselves. Now, if there weren't an answer, then we would not have a deep down seeking for something more. If there wasn't something more, we wouldn't have this in our hearts. We'd be fine. But we're seeking because something's missing, and something's missing because something is there. Something is there to be found. It's like having a compass that says you're in the wrong direction. Well, then there has to be a right direction. See, we've all taken a road. It's like we turn off a road, and inside it's like it's like being a child in the woods lost, and the soul is like crying out, and it doesn't matter who you are and what you have, and you could say, well, okay, well now I'm there, but your soul is crying out like a child saying, no, I'm not, I need to be found. Something deep down in our soul, in your soul, there's a voice calling, come home, come home. And that's what happened with the prodigal son. The ultimate thing turns around when the prodigal son comes to his senses. Now, if he didn't come to his senses, he would have died in that land and he would have been forever separated from his father. Well, that links up to something also in the book of Romans, a hard truth, but it's as important as ever to hear. It says the wages of sin are death. And what it means, it's not just speaking about physical death. That's part of the natural world now. But what it's saying is that what sin does is to separate us from God. And if we don't come back to God, if we don't receive his way back, we go into eternity forever separated from God, because that's the way sin is going. And that's not God's will. That's not God's will at all. But that's just the way it happens. God made your soul to be eternal. And so now we have the choice in this life to choose him or to choose away from him. There's a story of a man when he was a boy, he was drowning in water, and another man jumped into the water and saved his life. Years later, the boy grew up, became a man, and he killed another man. He became a murderer. He was brought to the judge. The judge recognized him. The judge was the man who had jumped into the water to save that man's life as a little boy. And the man appealed to the judge. You saved my life once, save it again from the consequences. The judge said, when you were a boy and you were drowning in that lake, I could save you. I could give my life for yours. But now, as a man who's been convicted for taking a life, I have no choice. I cannot save you as a judge without violating the law. My heart was to be your savior, but my obligation now is to be your judge. Well, God is love. It's written in the Bible, God is love. He's merciful. His heart is to save, is to bless, is to give you meaning, is to give you fulfillment. But he is also, must be, also judge. He's truth. He's the light. He can never say that a little sin is okay or a little evil's okay or some evil's okay. I mean, he's not going to say, well, a lot of hate is bad, but a little hate is okay. If he were to let sin into heaven, people would sin. Now, think about that. If those came into heaven without, in a sense, having something changed in their life. If you came into heaven with sin, then ultimately heaven would have to have locks and bolts and police up there and prisons and murder. It would stop being heaven. You understand? God cannot let in evil into what is good. And the problem is our hearts are joined to sin. There's selfishness there. There's in many, there's hatred or grudges or just selfish ambition or things that are impure, motives. And truth and light requires that darkness has to be gone. And that's a good thing. We thank God for that. We want God to end what is evil. Well, the problem is that there's evil in our hearts too, if we're honest about it. And so we need salvation. God created your soul to be eternal. And so we're going to go from here to eternity. This is just like a bus stop, where we choose. One day your breath is going to stop. It's going to happen. And that's why this message here is so important for you, that at one day, we kind of put it off. We don't think about it, but it's going to happen. It's going to be real, and that's it. Then is eternity. That's all that is there. Then at that time is eternity forever. No turning back. Now was the time to choose. And if you didn't choose him now, you can't choose after. There's no more choice. That's it. You're given a life to choose. If you didn't accept then, it's like rejecting your salvation, like the lifeguard throwing you a lifeline and you reject it. It's not God's will that you not be saved. It's God's will that you be saved. Only we can enter heaven if we have been touched by heaven now, if we have been changed. Only that which can get into heaven is that which has become heavenly. You don't earn it your way into heaven. You are born into it, or born again. That's what it is. To go into heaven, to go into eternity with God means you have him in your life now, and you're naturally, that's where you're going to go. It's not a matter of I hope I can do it. It's a sure thing, but you need to do it according to how he said it. And that is what heaven is, to be with God. And what is hell? That's to be separated from God, because to be separated from him is to be separated from love. It's to be separated from good and joy and everything that is good, everything that was truly good in your life was just a shadow of God. To be separated by your own choice forever from God. You can say, it's either I did it my way, or I did it his way. His way is heaven. Our way without him is heading away to a way that is separated from him forever.